Today, we're going to install a float valve on a stock tank. Not really a rocket scientist kind of nuclear scientist kind of thing, but a lot of people don't know how to do it. These things save you a lot of time in having to water every day. Basically, you take your float valve, hook it on the side of the stock tank, put a water hose on it in the shade. Why does it need to be in the shade? Because the water in the hose gets hot, and we certainly don't want to water our animals with hot water. We drill it down, tighten it up, fill it full of water, go to the house. Let me show you. This is a stock tank we have sitting out in the sun out in the middle of one of our pastures, as you can see. And the water gets pretty hot, so we're going to relocate it over to where we have a water valve and is in the shade all the time. One of the problems with that is, of course, that it gets a lot of leaves and crap and stuff in it, but they do that anyway. So now we're going to do the hardest part probably and dump the tank. This is where our stock tank's going to go. You can see we've had a stock tank here before, but fence got knocked down. You can see the brace across the top where a tree came down in the wintertime and took the whole thing out. Anyway, but as you can see, I have helpers over here. That's Bob and his little friend. So I'm gonna work this up in the sun and bring this down on the tractor. It's not that Bob and friend are mean or nasty or any of those other things. It's really quite docile. But when you take a 2,000-pound animal and they wanna help, and they always wanna help, it can be problematic. So let's go put this thing together. As predicted, here comes my help. That's Bob. Yeah, he's not happy. I'm fooling with his stuff. And his little friend behind him. Yeah, as you can tell, he's not happy. That's the way it works. As you can see, I'm cleaning the stock tank out as well. Anybody who's ever had cows understands the fact they're kind of, well, let's just say they poop just about everywhere. And so their water tank is a prime spot. So you got to clean it out really good. Now that my associates have discovered that there's no feed down here, and there's not much for him to play with other than you can see that Bob has decided to roll in the mud that I created when I dumped the stock tank. He's gonna go somewhere else for now, probably its shade, and take his helper with him. Gonna need a hose. Here we go. There's one right here. Got it from our local home center. We try not to buy from Lowe's and Home Depot if we can help it, and support our local people, but sometimes they just don't have what you need. Of course, we have our water valve. You see the float right there. And we have a drill. 1/4-inch drill bit, by the way. We're going to take our stock tank and we're going to put our float on the opposite side of the plug at the bottom, just in case we do need that plug for something. We can take it out and not have to fool with our float valve. So we're going to go the opposite side, which would be the side closest to the camera. Okay, plan B. I have moved the float valve down a little bit so that I don't have to drill a hole under where the hose hooks up. Seems to me that's a little too much work for what it's worth. Now I will drill a hole right here and we will attach this thing most skosh. As you can see, my holes seem to line up pretty well. So let's put some screws in it. Actually, it ended up more like just pushing them in because they fell through the hole. Interesting. Now I got some washers and nuts to put on it. We'll tighten it up. Now, one thing to remember, when you're tightening on these things, don't tighten them too tight. These are all plastic, fibrous, something or another, and they will break. So don't tighten it down too tight. So there we go. Got her on there pretty good. So let's get our hose. Now we're going to take our psychedelic hose here, which the wife brought home, and we're going to hook it right into there. Again, don't get it too tight. Ensure you have a washer in there, a little rubber doodad. And there it is. Without that, it's gonna leak. Can't tell if you can see it on the camera or not. Once again, do not get this puppy too tight. You get it too tight, first thing it's gonna do is gonna leak. Second thing it's gonna do is gonna break. Hand tight will probably work, and if it leaks a little bit, tighten it up as you go. And there we go. Looks pretty ready to go. You got a relatively clean stock tank. You got a float valve on it with a hose. So let's put it in the tractor and take it where it's going to go. See if we can keep our helpers busy while we're doing the transporting. As you can see, we made it up here relatively unobstructed. We're going to run the hose through that bent up fence right there. We're going to have to come back and put some fence up, but we'll do that another time. Let's get our stock tank plumbed up and let's get some water going. As you can see, while I'm putting this thing in, my help has arrived. And well, let's just say Bob's not quite ready for NASA yet. And his apprentice right there, not quite ready for NASA either. Let's hope he don't push the tractor over. As you can see, the water's starting to fill up the stock tank, and we'll take it. What we got now is we got to wait. Now I have leveled it up. I put a piece of wood underneath the stock tank to try to get it relatively level. But we'll check for leaks after we get it full. Bob, I had to go feed somewhere else because he was being too much of a help, and well, I was afraid he was going to push the tractor over. That happened. Now before this thing fills all the way up, let me show you how it works. Got a float valve right here at the bottom, and as the water floats up, you can see the water shuts right off. And so the idea is when they come drink on it, it lets more water back in the stock tank. As you can see, job well done. Until next time, see you down at the barn.